Perfect. Hey, Ian, how's it going?
Good, thanks. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah. Good to see you. Good to see you. So,
and you.
Ian's going to talk about this wonderful world of ISO 19650, but actually, it sounds like it's going to be in a little bit more of a practical way compared to just a whole bunch of acronyms that don't really mean much. And the title of the presentation is How ISO 19650 has been integrated into the project workflow. Ian has a very practical background, project management, and is the founder and director of ProSync, and is based in Barbados. And there's a lot to be jealous about there.
I try not to be too jealous.
Ian, we'll let you take it away, and we'll see you in the panel afterwards.
All right. I'll just see if I can find my name's Ian Rogers, as Clive rightfully introduced me, founder of ProSync, where we've looked at the whole end-to-end process and integrated various things together. So today I'm going to be talking about ISO 19650, but in the context of planning, what we've all been discussing in terms of using Planoly as the base product to manage our way forward. So just a quick introduction about ISO 19650. There's an international standard for managing information across the life cycle of the built asset. And I stress the word life cycle because this is literally from inception all the way through to operational management. It's about standardizing workflows to enhance collaboration, reduce errors, and improve data quality. And this particular standard, I think, works really well in terms of a process. So I'm going to explore ISO 19650 into the integration into the real-world project workflows. So just to give you a quick understanding about what ISO 19650 is about, it's a framework for standardized information management in construction and real estate. And it is based on using the building information modeling principles. The key benefits of this is to reduce miscommunication because we have a dedicated process, so everybody knows where they should be on the process going all the way through the project. It should prevent redundant work, and it ensures accessibility to accurate data at all stages. And we've heard a number of presentations today about accurate data and how we set the data up. And this effectively is the process linking everything together. So why does it matter? In aligning the ISO workflows, we improve collaboration across the teams. And I think that is essential because our industry is very silo mentality, and we need to increase that collaboration across all stakeholders so that we can work together in a much more collective way. It reduces risks due to structured data management. So we're structuring the data, as has already been mentioned by previous presentations, and it's more efficient project delivery in compliance with industry best practices. So what we have done at ProSync is we've looked at the whole workflow of a project from inception all the way through to operational management, which is a fairly unique view of life. And we have a saying of looking at the end game at the very beginning. Well, we think there's a few stages which have been slightly amplified in today's presentations before the design process starts properly. I've got a huge process map of all this, integrating all the ISO 19650 attributes into our workflow. But I'm just going to give you a few edited highlights here because otherwise it would just be too complicated to go through. So I think the very first thing to start off with is the assessment directly with the client. And again, this is before the design team is appointed properly. We may have design consultants and what have you helping with this, but we're really looking at things like the vision, why is the client even doing this project, demand studies, some basic assessment of the project. But in terms of the ISO 19650, which is highlighted in the salmon squares, here we're looking at appointing the information manager at this very early stage and setting up the project information requirements, or PIRs. So we're starting to really hone down on what we are going to be setting up for our data management under the information management process. We then go on to a process called viability, where we work closely with the client in developing the project initiation document, developing a very detailed project brief so that design team know exactly what they have to do, and looking at the feasibility studies or business plans so that the client knows at this early stage whether this project is going to be viable or not. There's no direct correlation to ISO 19650 other than capturing that data and putting it into a central repository. Then we come to the third and most important thing, which is the project setup. And this is where the detailed planning really comes in. And again, this is all before the design team is appointed. So here we will start to look at room data sheets, start developing some of the plans like health and safety plans, quality plans, and various other things. And at the end of that process, we actually start to look at appointing the design team. This starts off with developing a BIM execution plan, which will be evolved through the next stages, establishing the common data environment, or as we call it, the integrated project environment. And we've already heard of one example where there were 65 different models being put into the federated model. We don't believe there can be one common data environment. There needs to be an integrated project environment where all these databases and all the information is integrated so that all stakeholders can get hold of the data in an easy and unified way. We're looking at the information standards and, most importantly, the asset information requirements. Now, whilst part 3 of ISO 19650 deals with this, it has it coming in at a later stage in the process. I believe that asset information is the key to project success. And I think it needs to be started off now at this stage so that we're collating the data that the end user client needs for his asset management when it goes operational. And by doing that, we're setting the standards for that information right now. We then move on to funding, which again is now a bit more information documentation. And then we move into the usual process of concept design, where we've got the design process and the specifications and various plans being developed, all modeled and put through the CD, or as we call it, the IPE. So again, the design process repeats forward in terms of spatial design and technical design. So all the way through these two stages, the design is being progressed, the specifications are being progressed. At spatial design, we're starting to look at the construction program to see how that maps out. And various other plans are put together such that we can manage this all information through the CD or IPE. And then there's all the ISO review processes for the quality of that data. The technical design is the real rump of the design work. And here we start bringing in building systems detailing, more detailed specification, and again, updating all the various plans and what have you. So again, this is all managed through the CDE and various other elements. Obviously, this is all very simplified, but just giving you the gist of how, by planning early, this whole process goes through. Now we have a detailed design that works, and it's all been signed off as each stage of this is signed off through a gateway review process. We then move into construction. So we've got the contractor appointment and obviously the construction program proper and the cost planning along with a lot of other things. So here we restate the BIM execution plan for construction. We're looking at information going onto the CDE, and we're looking at information exchanges, because here is where the information exchange really starts to explode. And again, we're capturing all the asset information from the construction process. So we're actually capturing the as-built and as-installed asset information. Then we move over to the handover phase, where again the asset register is developed further, the operation and maintenance manuals are developed, and various other health and safety plans, etc. So here, this is where the asset information becomes critical, and why it's coming so far early in the process to enable the operator to set up and manage the asset information at this stage. And obviously we've got all the information handover, which should all be set in that integrated project environment where all the data sits for the client's use. Then obviously we move into operations, where we've got fully detailed room data sheets, various plans, reports, all managed through the CDE or IPE. So that is our process flow. But as you can see, the early stages where we're starting to plan in detail for all of this process works very, very well. So just to give you a little bit more information, I'm just going to go quickly through some specifics now in terms of integration. So the appointment of the information manager is paramount. And that starts to look at the creation of an information management plan, implementation of the actual common data environment or integrated project environment, and standardizing the information exchanges so that we're all talking the same language and we can enable that information to be exchanged properly through having standardized processes. And then adapting to project-specific challenges. We may have an overall plan, but some projects may have their own particular challenges or specialities which we need to bring in. But the key is the information manager pulling all this together from the very beginning. The appointment of an information manager allows us to do several things. He can or she can oversee the ISO 19650 implementation properly. They can ensure that structured communication and data governance is carried out properly as well. And it should enable smooth data exchanges amongst all the stakeholders, not just the design team, but we're talking about the project managers, the cost consultants, and the client end user as well. So in terms of creation of an information management plan, this is defining how the project data is managed. The components will follow the roles and responsibility matrix for data governance, the data sharing protocols and security measures, which are vital these days, and then looking at the structured information exchanges to maintain consistency. So there's a lot of information in the information plan to make sure this all comes together properly so that all the stakeholders and the project runs as smoothly as possible. So in terms of implementing the common data environment, and as we like to call it, as I've said, we like to call it as an integrated project environment, bringing all stakeholders into this common data environment, if you like. By setting this up correctly, it ensures that the up-to-date and retrievable information is there. And this again is where the Planoly system for document management comes in very strongly in terms of enabling us to make sure we've got all the current documents at the same time. It tracks the document versions to prevent inconsistencies, and then it controls access based on user roles. So you only have the people that really need access to that particular data accessing that data. So then we have the information exchanges, which is a critical part of the whole process. So it's making sure we have the right people get the right information at the right time. So this is the essence of why we're planning this. The data is categorized and formatted consistently, and that the quality checks are completed before sharing the data, so that we're always ensuring that the data that is shared is complete and verified to be used. So we need to make sure that we're adapting to project-specific challenges. There could be cultural resistance, people taking this up. Teams may resist adopting these new workflows, particularly some of the stuff I'm talking about in terms of the early planning, which is going to take a bit of time before we really get going on the project. But I think we've all agreed with this series today that planning is absolutely critical. And then we need to make sure that any technological gaps are bridged. So some firms may lack the necessary digital tools, and in particular, if we're incorporating specialist providers in the construction phase, those specialists may not have all of the access to the necessary tools to do a digitized process. So we need to make sure we're investing in software and training to make sure all members can benefit from having an integrated process. So for me, just coming towards the end now, key takeaways. This allows us to have higher efficiency, streamlined processes, reduce the duplication and make savings. Better collaboration, standardized management improves the coordination across all stakeholders, and it enhances the data integrity. So well-organized data ensures accuracy and accessibility for those that need it. So in conclusion, by integrating ISO 19650 into the workflows enhances our project success. A lot of the hard work has already been done by using this standard, and therefore it enhances our ability to work properly. Following structured processes ensures better information management and reduces risk. And those companies embracing ISO 19650 will remain competitive and future ready. So that's my presentation. I hope you found it of interest. And if you want to speak to me, I'm going to be on the panel discussion shortly, and there will be a ProSync room if you want to come and speak to me specifically in that room, or you can contact me on my email address. Thank you very much. I'll hand back to Clive now.